Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to another recent reads on Sunday, and also an update on my quest to read 30 books in 30 days in August. To start with the letter, it's going really well. It's today the 27th and I have read 27 books. So I am right on track, not ahead, but certainly not behind. And I'm confident now. I mean, if something happens, you never know. There's still a couple of days left, but I'm rather confident that I will make it. So yeah, another successful year with the 30 books in 30 days. And that is good, a good feeling, because I like this challenge. And it also really helps me achieve my main goal when it comes to TBR. You know what it is, that I read more books than I bring in. So, and you don't want to know that the the final tally for the books that I got for my birthday, I think is 21. So this challenge was really necessary. Anyway, I want to talk about I think 3 more books that I finished. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Again, if you watched earlier videos through August, you know that I'm not talking about each and every book that I read in August. I do rereads. Some books are, by male authors. They will feature in the best dudes or not at the end of the year. I pick and choose. Normally, a recent reads is really all the books that I do, but for the August challenge, I don't. So just as a disclaimer. Anyway, the first books I don't have a physical copy of. I also read this for Women in Translation Month, August, you know, Women in Translation Month. And so I will put a picture up here, Maja Lunde, The Last Wild Horses, translated from the Norwegian by Diane Oatley, published in 2019. Maja Lunde, Norwegian author, and this is part of a series about climate change. I think it's called Climate Quartet in Norwegian or something. I mean, the English translation of the Norwegian would be Climate Quartet or something like that. The first one was History of Bees, which I really liked. The second one, I can't really remember the title. It has something with the ocean in it. Let me just check. Yeah, it's a trilogy. A fourth book is upcoming, The End of the Ocean. That was the Climate Quartet number 2. And the Last Wild Horses was the Climate Quartet number 3. So there is still one coming. So this one is in, if you read Maja Lunde before, she has her way of talking about this is she takes one theme. This time it's horses or wild animals more in general, but she's focusing on horses. The first one was bees, the second one was water and ocean. And then she has multiple timelines. So this book is in 3 timelines. The first one is in the end of the 19th century in Russia. Mikhail, a zoologist who is interested in these particular wild horses that are live in Mongolia and are very special. So he wants to import those horses for his zoo. And then we have in the 1990s also a biologist who is trying to reintroduce those horses into Mongolia, because they are extinct there. And then we, of course, look into the future. So it's the 21st century and 2080, something like that. And there are only 1 or 2 of these horses left. And we have a main protagonist who wants these horses or this breed to survive. Eva, I'm just checking her name. And the world is really desolate. There was a catastrophe that is not explained any in any detail. So you have these three timelines, and you see the development and the of these horses, but also the impact that humans have on our surroundings, the ecology, the climate, what have you. I really enjoyed it. She has a very I enjoyed the other two as well. She has a very engaging way of talking about this. She tells an interesting story with an underlying message. I mean, it's not my, all-time ever favorite book, but it was good, and it was a fast read, which was also important for me because this is a book with around 400 pages, and I wouldn't pick a book that I have to read very, very slowly at 400 pages in August. So this was definitely a success. The next book I want to talk about was a buddy read with Kim from Middle of the Book March, and it was a book that was one of the many birthday presents that I got from Heidi, and that is Factory Girls by Michelle Gallen, published in 2022. This also qualifies for Kim and I, we try to read Irish lit novels by female authors, so we picked this one as one of the Irish novels that we want to read. Michelle Gallen obviously is an Irish author. I had never read her. She wrote a previous book, also set in Ireland, Big Girl, Small Town, or the other way around, Small Town, Big Girl. But like I said, this was my first encounter with her, and I really, really enjoyed this book. So this is set at the end of the Troubles in 1994 or 1992. Me and numbers. 1994 in June, in just a couple of weeks. And our main character is Maeve. Actually, it's a group of women, Eva, Maeve, and Caroline, young women just out of high school, and they all did their these tests that you have to do in order to apply for college, and they're waiting for the results, and it's now the summer, it starts in June, and they apply to work in a factory in order to earn money. Maeve wants to become a journalist. She wants to move to London. And then we follow these three young women with Maeve as a central character through the summer, and we learn about their lives during the Troubles. This constant dread that they experience, bombings, and they have to, in the evening, the mother would shower or bathe Maeve when she was young, and she would have to take the glass shards out of the hair because some window broke, because a bomb exploded somewhere, people die. So it's really dark, but to counterbalance that, it's also really funny. This is a very young woman who has a feisty attitude, who is also quite witty, and not in a superficial way, but I think it's her way of coping with this rather difficult upbringing. So we learn about the Troubles, we learn about this factory, and there are things going on, of course, in the factory that are not okay, but I'm not going to spoil the story. So it's if I say it's lighthearted, that would be wrong, because the underlying theme is quite dark and heavy, but it's presented in this way of a very young woman, a girl almost, who is trying to cope with the horrors of her upbringing. I thought it was excellent. I mean, the best book about the Troubles is still Milkman, no doubt. Anna Burns, yeah. But this is still also, it's a very different take. Not a very different take. No, that's not right. A very different approach to the same subject, but it's absolutely, I would encourage you to read it if you haven't. So this was definitely a success. And the third book I want to talk about was also a buddy read, and that was the third, and I don't have a physical copy, so I will put up a cover up here as well, and that was the third book in the Earth-Sea cycle by Ursula Le Guin, The Fathers Chore, published in 1974. Yes, 1974. There are more books in this cycle, but Adam, and I'm reading this with Adam, our quest to read our way through Ursula Le Guin's work. And the Earthsea cycle has more than 3, but we decided that we want to read the first 3, one after the other, and then we will now take a break. Like in the other books, the main character is Ged, who is an archmage, so one of the highest magician, sorcerer, and this time he gets a visit from a very young man, Aaron, who is the son of a king somewhere in one of the Earthsea countries, and there are reports, and Aaron brings those reports that there are places where magic disappeared and people don't remember spells anymore, and it's all horrible. And then the young man and the old man, they go on a quest in order to find out what happens and cure it. I really like the second part, The Tombs of Atuan, because it was, I thought the theme was interesting, this young girl becoming a priestess, and this third one, again, was not quite my cup of tea. I'm not into those road trip kind of books, and boats. They were on boats a lot of the time. Adam and I, we were like texting each other, another goddamn boat trip. It's just not my thing. And this very traditional, quest, the young boy coming of age together with the older sorcerer, trying to eradicate evil. It just didn't, it was not bad. I mean, it's Le Guin. For sure, it can't be bad, but it just did not engage me in the same way that the second one did. It was more like the first one, with a Wizard of Earthsea, also with a lot of boats, road trip kind of thing. Not my thing. And I'm not a big fantasy reader anyway. You know that if you follow my channel. But I also think I really appreciate Le Guin's sci-fi more than her fantasy, and especially the fantasy is written mostly for a younger audience. This is also geared at a younger audience, and it's just not, it's okay, but it's not my thing, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so these were the 3 that I finished and that I wanted to talk to you about, and then I have 3 more books to go, and the first one is nonfiction, Susan Sontag on women, which I'm reading with Kathleen, and I'm almost done, and we have a check-in today, so I have like 10 pages left or something. And this is a collection that came out this year, 2023, but of course Susan Sontag, she died a couple of years back, so it's earlier essays, but collected in together for the first time, and they are all on the theme of women, which I find really interesting. I will talk about this more when after I finished it and when I had my check-in with Kathleen, but I really appreciate, you know me, Susan Sontag. Yeah, I mean, and this collection is really interesting, and there are a couple of essays that I had never heard of before, so very good. The last, probably very last book that I will finish, because it is big, is this collection, James Tiptree Jr., aka Alice B. Sheldon, Her Smoke Grows Up Forever. This is a 1990 collection of short stories. I think there are 15 or something in here. Not quite sure. 18. 18 short stories, all written in the 1970s. And I love the Masterwork editions because the covers of the Masterworks sci-fi edition are so horrendous. They are camp. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I'm reading this with Terri from Miss Terri Talks Books. I think she has various online names, but you know Terri. And we have 4 or 5 stories still to read. So this will be the last book that I finish for sure, because the stories are very dark. I mean, Alice Sheldon was born in 1915, so she is my grandmother's generation. My grandmother was born in 1905. So if you think this is a woman, she published her first sci-fi. I don't know why I put down the book. She published her first sci-fi in 1967 or something. So she was already in her 50s. But if you think, somebody born in 1915, that's probably the cozy type of sci-fi, think again. These are probably the darkest sci-fi stories that I have ever read. And they all center around one theme, and that is sexism, misogyny, mistreatment of women. And they are dark, which also means that I can't, just read one after the other. I need a little break in between. But I will definitely finish this book in August. And the last book that I will read, I decided on the last book because that's sort of a, finishing book. And mostly I do a reread. So this will be one of the rereads that I show you. And that is Deborah Levy's The Cost of Living, part 2 in her living autobiography. And this one was published in 2018. So it's a slim little memoir, and I loved it. I thought the way she talks about becoming a writer, being a writer, living by herself with after a divorce with children, it was just fabulous. I really, really loved it. So I thought to reread this would be a very good end of my 30 books in 30 days. I might read this on the 31st of August. As you know, that's my cheat day, because on the 30th, on Wednesday, I'm away for work all day. I have to travel to Holland and then have a whole working day. And I'm taking it with me for the train, but I'm not sure. It might be that I decide to take my time with it and really enjoy it and read it on the 31st. Anyway, so these are the books that I read, recent reads, and the last 3 for the 30 books in 30 days. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.